Welcome to the Escarpment. This is my model railway build channel and I'm your host Jason. Today's video all about a January 2022 layout update. Now before I take you around and show you a lot of the updates and what I've been doing behind the scenes here, I thought I'd just make a mention. I've been fortunate enough to be invited to a couple running sessions to a couple great layouts here in the ACT. Now, the thing is, it's actually opened up my mind, and especially in the area of running sessions, that type of stuff. I mean, it's one thing to build a layout where you can have long continuous runs and run what you like, but then it's another facet to the hobby to actually set it up so you can actually do some operational type stuff. So look, I just want to give a big thank you to both John and David, the two layout owners that have been gracious enough to invite me along to some of their running sessions. And look, they both operate differently, but it's quite interesting, and it's great to sort of experience a couple different ways of doing the running sessions. So what I'm going to do now is just take you around and show you a lot of the stuff that I've been working on behind the scenes. Just quickly, another great item I come across were these short stools here, because later on when I have some running sessions, there will be some major control panels, and obviously I don't want people crouching down, because those that have been following me know that this level 1 is only about 600 millimeters off the floor. So I've sort of come across these great little stools. They can be raised, but that's the lowest point there, and I thought it'd be just a lot more comfortable sitting on those operating. And the great thing is they're actually small enough where they fit under the layout and out of the way. But anyway, thought I'd just share that. So one of the major activities that I've been doing of late is just making sure and testing that my points are all good. Earlier on, especially over the last few months, there's been a couple points that I noticed, and especially over this area over here, that I actually noticed there was some hesitation. So I decided to come back and test them all again. Now, part of that exercise, I did actually find a number of frogs, well, parts of those frogs that weren't fully electrified. What I'm going to do now is take you up here, and I'm going to demonstrate very shortly on how I use my multimeter to actually test those. And you can see here, I've still got one here that I actually got to pull up and resolder and then retest, because there is a part of the frog here that is dead. So one of the tests I do undertake prior to installing a set of points onto the layout is just checking the continuity of the frog itself and make sure it's isolated from the other tracks. So what I normally do with my multimeter, I'll put it on this continuity setting right here, and what that normally does is checks for short circuits. So if I turn this on at the moment, you'll see it comes up with an OL, meaning it's got an open line. But then if I go down and check out these set of points, or checking the frog on these set of points, we'll see what's got a short circuit and what doesn't. So you can see there I've got still an open circuit where I'm expecting a short circuit here. And then when I go to the other side, you can see there I've got a short circuit. And same as that track. So this part of the frog and these two are connected okay. There's a bit of an iffy connection on this side of the frog right here, and that's why I've got to come back and actually pull it out and check out the soldering and just redo it. And I'll go through this test again before I put it back on and just make sure everything's okay. Now, one of the other things, as I've mentioned, is making sure that frog is isolated from the other sets of rails. While everything's off, I'll just make sure there's no short circuit with these other rails. And then what that is telling you is basically it's isolated. So everything's good. And just to double check, I'll do the other side of the frog and I should have a short circuit. And you can see there I've got a short circuit. So The frog is actually isolated from the other tracks. It's just basically there's a dead part of the frog here that I need to come back and fix up. Where the last video I was talking about putting in this siding, well, I can report now that it's in place, it's all hooked up, it's working perfectly, and you can see my 38 steamer there. I've actually got around to getting the real file installed in it, so it's got the authentic sound to it now, which is great, and I might show that on another video. See, it's parked there in the siding, and what that's going to do is just allow for some variety of operations up here on level 3. And it goes all the way around there. You can see the set of points, curved points over there. And it just allows at least a 6-car passenger rake to be parked on the side and bring another one through, or put a small freight or small coal train on that side. And what I needed to do, as you would have seen on the last video, I had a section here I had to cut out, and that was all done. And what that did was give me access to those points there and putting in the point motor. And then the track that goes underneath, there was a couple pieces that had to come together, and of course I couldn't get in there with the wiring. I soldered those 2 pieces of track together and then connected electricity just on this side where I could get access from the top. You can see there. And I had to come down here as well, and I had to cut a little bit out over here just to get full access to install those set of points on this end. So further tweaks to the track down this end. I've put in a new siding down here, and this is basically to serve the North Port Kembla station. And basically when I don't have these depth sets, or the rail cars come in where they can travel both directions, of course that's a terminus station and there's no runaround track there. I had to make sure I could service this station by another means. So what I've done is put this siding in. A loco can then run around, come through there, cross over to that track, come down, hook up to the coaches, and then off it can go. And then it allows the loco down at this end to go off and be serviced or refueled or something along those lines. Other tweaks down this side is I've realigned all the curves here. Now the main reason behind that, if I can get down here, is this outer curve right here is basically going to be within a large custom built shed, and originally it was right up against the wall here, and to put an entry there, it wasn't going to be looking realistic. So basically I've just moved all the curves, got them looking better, and was able to bring that in enough where there will be an entry there that I can blend into the background without looking unrealistic. Another thing down here is, where is it there? I took out a set of points here, put in a set of curve points right there, and just made this particular siding a lot longer. In the last video you would have seen me put in a larger set of curve points there. You can see I've got another set of curve points there which I'll attach to that one, and that will give me an extra siding here. And I'm thinking it's probably going to serve a fuel depot or something along those lines. Just give me another opportunity to put in a different set of industries down in this area down here. Now as I go up here, there's been further work on the diesel fuel depot. You can see right there, it's a Walther's diesel facility. You can see also I've started to put in some signage, sorting out some of the industries that you'll see down here on level 1. And obviously I've got the coal loader there, I've got the diesel fuel depot right there, the diesel maintenance shed will be there. There'll be something else down here for the repair siding of wagons. I've still got to come back and reconfigure this. I'm not happy. I need to do some research about that area in Port Kembla. I've got a set of curve points there to put in here to sort of meet up with that line and then give me further options with these sidings on that side. But look, that's still in train. I need to have a think about that one. Guess further down here now, I haven't got the signs up for the industries down here, but there's probably going to be at least a couple down here. One being, you know, to load the coils or the steel slabs, that type of stuff will be down at this end. I've got the siding there ready to whatever I end up doing to configure with that industry. And I'm also thinking about putting another siding here somewhere to run up that way to service another industry up there, or just have a storage siding. To come back, have a good think, because I think there's going to be some track reconfigurations down here, and I'll share with you in a moment a major idea that I had, which will involve this track here. As you know, the level 2 is all about the escarpment. Now, as previous mentioned, you know, I've got this crossover here, and then I've got another one down there where basically if something's at that station I can cross over. But the problem is it's only crossing from the up line to the down line. There's no crossing from the up line back across to the down line. So I'm going to be putting in a crossover in this area here to service that, and then down at this end, and what it's going to do is give me some room for operation, especially if I'm dealing with slower coal trains and I need passenger cars to run around them. This is going to give me options whether they're on the up line or the down line. And then basically, because I'm going to be putting in that other crossing down there, it doesn't allow me enough room here for my longest coal train. So I'm going to be taking this crossover out from here, and I'm going to move around and install it in this area here. And then obviously I've got these curved set of points here to make sure I can cross over from the down line to the up line. Now, one of the other major tasks that isn't so obvious here on video due to the fact that it's got to do with the wiring. So as I've been doing these track tweaks, I've been cleaning up the wiring as I go along. So a good part of level 1 has been redone underneath. Now, when I say redone, I guess when I first was laying track, well, way back when I was doing level 1 here, I was just sticking in wires at whatever length, because I didn't really know what I was going to do with block detection. But now I do have a bit of an idea. I've been going back and just cleaning up, making those wires shorter, making sure they're twisted, etc, etc. And then also I'll do the same thing up here on level 2. There's a few areas where I just need to cut them a little bit shorter, put the twist in, and it'll be ready to go, so I won't need to revisit. Now, as part of that, I have now put in the branch line power bus. You can see there going up, and that will then take care of the level 2 Loco Depot over on the other side, and I'll go there in a minute because there's been some major changes over there as well. But basically, so I've got that line, it actually runs underneath back to my power box here. You can see there it's hooked up, and that then goes over to the bridge area over there, which it's ready then to be extended once I start putting in track on that level 2 branch line. Another major task that I've been doing is I've got back to Anyrail 6. I've actually fully designed the track work for level 2, the locomotive depot. I've printed it all out and I've got it in place. Now, I apologise, some of the wording's upside down. I was on the computer and then didn't think about printing it out and how it lays out on the layout here. But anyway, that it is what it is. So obviously a part of this design too, I've now changed my mind. I'm not going to be putting in this type of bridge. I'm going to be putting in type of girder, and I've got that stuff ready to build and to put in place. Then the reason for it was that one there was a little bit long, and I wanted to do some other stuff with the embankments on each side here. So basically the gist of this is you've got the arrival and departure track. They're all one because due to the fact that this is a single branch line. Now down at this end I am putting in probably a couple different industries here. So this is going to be a general loading facility here. There's a number of things that can be loaded and offloaded there. Down here there's some sidings. There is another industry I'm putting in, which is a milk facility. There are some of my milk cars right there. There's a couple of sidings here, and I was sort of thinking about, do I take one of those out? Now, as the train comes in, obviously the loco's down here. I'm not going to put in any runaround. I sort of thought about that, but what I'm going to do is basically that middle area there will be where the loco can detach itself and just park for the time being. This one here is a siding where I can push these cars down. Now you might be thinking, well, how am I going to be pushing those cars down? Well, one of the tweaks, and it's probably not clear there with this writing, but I'm going to put a short siding here where one of my 73 classes are going to sit, and they'll be doing the shunting with this stuff and then be able to take it down, let that loco out, and then bring the loco around to be serviced. You see here I'm actually going to be putting in a turntable. Of course I've sort of invested in a steam loco. I thought turning it, that'd be great. So this is the departure or the arrival track, depending what I'm taking in and out. Do a bit more thinking down here. Originally this was going to be the steam line. Now, you know, and I've got the water column, I've got the ash pit, I've got the coal facility, and then I've got a shed down there. And it just seems like a bit of a waste. That's quite a long siding just to service a one-off steam engine. So I'm sort of coming back thinking, you know, do I use it for that, or do I put it in another shorter line? But I'll come back to that one. Here there'll be a big maintenance trip type shed to bring the locos through. Now right down this end I had I guess the sanding tower and the diesel fuel depot, but I'm thinking I might skip the fuel depot and maybe it can be part of the internals of this maintenance shed where the refueling gets done. Here there's going to be another tweak where there's probably going to be another set of points for the steam engine to go straight to the turntable, and whether or not that gets moved up to make this line shorter and then have the sanding tower here for whether the trains are coming in or going out. But anyway, that's what it's looking like at the moment. As I said, there's a couple of things I still might tweak now that I've got it in full size up here on the layout. It just gives you a better perspective than, you know, when you're designing it on the computer. I had a major idea a few days ago, and basically it's related to the North Port Kembla yard here. For those that know the area, they didn't just end, you know, they sort of was a straight through yard. So, and you can probably see where I'm headed with this one. I'm thinking of actually extending this yard, probably the first 4 tracks here at the front, through under my bench, through the other set of legs here, and then it'll all come into one track. And then obviously I will need a bit of a bridge here. It won't be a walk under, obviously, because it'll be lower. But anyway, there's a lot of thought I need to put in there. It'll come through this area here and then join up with that track I mentioned earlier, which is that one right there. And then that gives me a whole bunch of operational side of things. So basically I've got a straight through Port Kembla, North Port Kembla yard here, and basically I can enter and exit, and again down here the same thing, I can enter or exit and then be able to get back onto the main line. But anyway, look, that is under some deep thought and consideration. Obviously coming back there will be a lot of work here. I'll obviously lose storage space here. I will probably need to reconfigure this slightly where I'll need to bring it out. But anyway, there's a lot of thought I've got to put into that one, and I'm sure I'll revisit that somewhere down the track, not too far away. So that's the progress to date. And there's been a lot of stuff happening in the background, as you've just seen there, tidying up wiring, reconfiguring that stuff under there, and just making sure it's neat, it's easy accessible, and easy to fault find is really why I go back and make sure that my wiring is sound. Now you can probably see behind me there, I've got the laptop, so I've been doing a bit of work with the Locos, installing sound. Obviously I've got the new file for my 38 steamer up there, and that sounds great. Looking ahead now, obviously I've got the bug for, I guess, reconfiguring some of my track. I really need to get into those operations to really make sure that that track work will do what I need it to do. Moving ahead, I'll be getting the track work started to be installed up there on the level 2 Loco Depot area. And I guess before I get to that part, I've got to go over there and get my bridge in order, and so I can then run that track across and start laying from there. Now, the other thing too is I'm going to hold off on doing a full-blown control panel build. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put in control panels, but they're just going to be some temporary stuff, just because there's no point building everything to how it is now, in case, you know, later on when I have those running sessions, in case I've got to come back and rejig the track, then obviously that's going to be off when it comes to the control panel. So I don't want to come back and redo stuff. So it'll be just some temp stuff going in, and we'll take it from there. But with that said, look, I think that wraps up the January 2022 update. And so for now, stay safe. Bye for now. Cheers.